Today we're going to review the Tremors franchise, and I know this is a big cult classic favorite of many fans out there. And they're all very, very intertwined and connected. So there's no way I'm going to rank them from best to worst. There's really not a bad Tremors film in a bunch, except for one, which we'll get to in a second. But I'm going to rank them in my favorite order, from least favorite to most favorite. So I'm not saying they're the best. I'm saying for entertainment value, for me personally, this is my ranking. So the very bottom, the worst one I think in the series, is the newest one, Tremors Shrieker Island. I did not feel that it was a Tremors film. It didn't have the feel of a Tremors film. It looked very different. I thought the CGI was shockingly bad in this one. I know they were operating with a very low budget at this point. Universal starts shaving money off their budgets for each subsequent entry. But I did not like this one at all. I didn't like any of the cast except Richard Brake is awesome from 31. And he's very memorable. He's cool, and he becomes unhinged, and it's good stuff. It's not a spoiler. He's always unhinged. I just didn't like the film. I thought the creatures were barely utilized in this one. Again, I understand budgetary constraints, but there's a way to go about doing things, keeping it a little more interesting. I think that the plot didn't go anywhere. I didn't think there was a script here. I thought Michael Gross looked tired. He looked tired. The series was looking tired, and I didn't get it. I didn't feel like it was a Tremors film at all. I just did not like that film. But that being said, the rest of the franchise is pretty damn enjoyable, and it's hard to, again, pick favorites and least favorites. So for entertainment value, this is how my list goes. So again, number 7, Tremors Shrieker Island is the lowest one for me. The next one up on that list, again, a great film, but they're all so good. Tremors 4, The Legend Begins. This is the prequel. Something's got to be down here, so I'm going to put this. I had a very good time with this film. I really liked it. I just don't think it delivered as much as other films did. It was a little slower in the franchise. It did have Billy Drago, which was pretty awesome. It had some very cool sequences, some good Tremor action sequences, some good creatures in here, and I appreciate the fact that as the series went along, it evolved. You know, you had the Graboids and the Shriekers and the Ass Blasters. This is like pre-Graboid. So it's very evolutionary, which is kind of cool. These are just like worms, and they've started evolving from the beginning of the movie towards the end of the movie. But I kind of liked how they made them like these very basic creatures that slowly evolve, because that is in keeping with the rest of the film. I thought the humor was great, the action was good. Just didn't quite rank up there a little higher for me, but it was a good film. The next up for me is Tremors 3, Back to Perfection. I really like this film. Over the years, didn't hold up to me for me quite as well as it did earlier, because it's kind of sloppy. A lot of fun though. This is a real fun movie, and it does set up the series, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, this was the first one that Michael Gross became the starring lead in the film and remained there throughout. Now, he was in the first 2 Tremors, but he really assumed the lead role in this film. And it was very enjoyable. It just, didn't quite hold up over the years with time, but it's really a fun film. Next one up for me, I'm gonna have to go with the revival, Tremors 5, Bloodlines. This is the one with Jamie Kennedy, and this was after I think it was 11 or 12-year hiatus. So this is essentially the brand new batch, first entry in the brand new batch of Tremors, the next generation of Tremors, if you will, which pretty much hit a new audience. A lot of people hadn't seen the earlier Tremors films, and didn't care, because at that point they were a little old. But when this came out, this revitalized the series, and I have a soft spot in my heart for this one, because it was good. It was an enjoyable one. Again, the budget was a little off, but they're bringing them back. I'm glad they're bringing them back whatever way they can, right? This was a cool movie, and it was a good way to revamp a series with not rebooting it, just refreshing it, bringing it back, and continuing the storyline, which is awesome. It's a 30-year franchise, right? And they haven't rebooted it. They've just built on it, and built on the mythology of it, and had sequelized it, which is great. I love doing that. So they did a good job with that. The next one up on the list for me, I'm actually going to put the Tremors series as a whole right there. This was if you guys remember, this was a short-lived series. It was filmed after Tremors 3, but right before Tremors 4. But Part 3, as I brought up before, it set up everything for this film. They're like directly there's a direct correlation between this and that one. So for continuity, when you're watching the films, I would pop this in right after part 3, because it builds on a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of characters or situations referenced in Tremors 3 that set this up, and it was clear that they had a vision when they were doing 3 that they were going to do a series. Michael Gross is back. The only drawback of this series is the fact that normally a season is 22 episodes. This was 13, and then for a test run, and if a show performs well, a network will usually order the back 9 episodes. They never ordered the back 9 for these, so it didn't even get a full season run, which is criminally, it's criminal. Yeah, I'll use that. It was just, the series was great, and it varied a little bit in quality. Some episodes were better than others. Night of the Shriekers was a really good episode, but it built on the Tremors mythology, and I liked how Michael Gross was front and center in these for the most part. The last couple episodes he kind of took a little leave of absence, but the show kind of evolved, and it would have been really cool because the characters were really likable, the situations were good, it did continue the storyline, which was awesome. But then the last few episodes were almost like standalone episodes, almost X-File-y, and those were really good. This was a great series, guys. You should check this out. If you haven't seen it, it's, I think all 13 episodes is just over 9 hours. Invest your time in this, because this is really very, very good. If you like Tremors, you will love the series. The next up for me, I'm going to go with the original Tremors. I think it's classic. What's not to like about Tremors, right? This was great for me. I really liked it. This started everything. Kevin Bacon was in it. You know, this is the one. This is the one that did it. And this was, there's not enough to say, but Fred Ward was in it. It's a great film. And Michael Gross again was in it. Reba McEntire was in it. But Michael Gross kind of started standing out in the end of this film a little bit. So he may have been poised to take over the series if they were even thinking they were going to have one in the future at all. He did a really good job in this one. He did stand out. He was memorable. It was all about Val and Earl and Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward's character. But Michael Gross definitely stood out in this one. Great film, of course, a cult classic. And I'm going to get a lot of heat for people on this, because my second favorite in the entire series right now is 2018's Tremors 6, A Cold Day in Hell. I really enjoyed this film. Now, I'm not talking about best to worst. This probably wouldn't rank very high on most people's lists. But I liked the clean, crisp look of this film. I thought the CGI they started overly using, obviously, especially in the newer films, I thought they looked really good in this movie. I thought the creatures were fully realized. There were a lot of them. I think they looked clear. I think the bright sun and the snow and everything else to a more, they set it up in the snow, and it pretty much looked like it wasn't in the snow for the rest of the movie. It was just in the background. But the settings were really cool for this. It had a feel of like a little bit of The Thing. There was a lot of humor in it. This was the one I thought had nonstop action in it. I really, really enjoyed this film, and I did not expect to enjoy it for some reason. I'm like, this is the first one that they're dropping the number after it, because generally people start thinking sequel or movies with numbers after them, the quality diminishes, and generally that's the case. Obviously, studios realize that too, because they start dropping that. But also, when you get to that point, you start thinking, this may be a real big stretch, this may be whatever, but this felt, for me, surprisingly fresh and funny, action-packed left and right. And I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. So, yeah, it was a good one. And I'm going to have to go with, I think, for me, the most entertaining and enjoyable one of the whole franchise is Tremors 2 Aftershocks. As you guys know, the entire series, except for the first one, everything went direct to video. Except for the last few, obviously went direct to DVD and Blu-ray. But there was no real drop in quality. It was the first Tremors, and this to me had the most, this is where the series obviously came into its own in terms of its light, playful humor, sharp writing, witty characters. Michael Gross, again, just kind of took this movie over. But what put this over the top for me was the probably the last half hour of this film or so, just knocked it out of the park. It was a great climax, great conclusion, very exciting movie, fun movie, and there were a lot of ties to the original in this, because again, Fred Ward was still in it. They got someone that was kind of going to be like, I guess, Kevin Bacon. That's what they were trying to do. So I could tell what they were doing, and I kind of appreciated it. But this is a really enjoyable film. So again, from favorite to least favorite, my favorite is Tremors 2. My second favorite is Tremors 6, A Cold Day in Hell. My third favorite is Tremors. My fourth favorite is the entire series as a whole. It's a little uneven, but overall it ranks this high for me. I always mess up the counting here. Okay, my fifth favorite is actually Tremors 5, which was the one that revitalized the series in 2015. Am I counting them right? Okay. My sixth favorite is Tremors 3. Again, they have to rank somewhere. They're all great. Pretty much all of them are great, and this is no exception. It's just not quite as good as the other ones for me. Tremors 4, same thing with that. The prequel, great film. Just didn't quite rank up there, a little higher for me. No reason. It's a very enjoyable film. The only sour note in the bunch, unfortunately, may very well be the swan song of the Tremors series, at least for the next foreseeable future, next few years or so. Tremors Shrieker Island. I don't think anything about this film worked. And the main issue I had, a lot of people have had issues with this film. I'm not going to spoil anything, but my main issues probably weren't what other people had. My main issues are the fact that it didn't feel like a Tremors film. I want to see a Tremors film. I want to see creatures that look like Tremors, like the actual Tremor graboids, and even the Shriekers didn't look like Shriekers. The graboids were barely seen. I thought the dialogue was forced and unbelievable. I didn't enjoy any of the characters, except for Richard Brake and obviously Michael Gross. I even think that John Heder, whatever his name is, in Napoleon Dynamite, was wasted in this film. And it was originally, Jamie Kennedy was envisioned to return in the film. And for some reason he didn't. I don't know if he didn't like the script. I don't know if there was a contract issue or whatever. But it looks like they very hastily rewrote that film and threw John Heder into that film. And it's very obvious. But it just didn't seem to work for me. I didn't like it. The promise was there. The potential was there. They had an island that they were, going to be hunting graboids on. It almost sounded like Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom, I think that was the name of the most recent Jurassic Park film. Like, basically, crazy guy who was engineering these things, brought people in to hunt them for money, and it just didn't go anywhere. And they had water around there. I was thinking maybe some Jaws action or some kind of Tremors attacks in the water. There was a lot of missed opportunity. Now, I will understand that, I understand a lot of it was obviously from budgetary reasons, but don't set it up that way. Do something else, go somewhere else with it. I felt it was talking and it didn't really go anywhere. So anyway, guys, Tremors series is definitely one of my favorite series. That's not going to change. Just unfortunately that the most recent entry, at least to this point, is pretty bad, and it's the only one that's bad. But if you haven't seen Tremors, you must be under a rock. Check out the series. Binge them. They're awesome. They're worth your time. Even the last one will have some redeeming qualities for people that have stayed with it through the end. I just expected a lot more. So thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. I will get with you the next time. Bye.